Hello and welcome back to Spirit Mom. Today at Spirit School, we're going to discuss spiritual elements, spiritual beings, the spiritual things that walk in and out of us every day. I've talked a lot about negative entities and how they can affect us and how they could be sending us thoughts and how we can get downloads from the universe and have good thoughts. Well, there's two different kind of beings and two different kinds of information that can come to us. Even if we talk about them in two different ways, sometimes they present themselves as the same way, like in the same way. They can literally walk into us, walk through us. Like, it might freak you out to think about this, but look around you. In the room you're in, there's probably at least 1,000 things in there with you. And they can walk through you and give you thoughts. So how do we learn what's ours and what's not? For starters, what you do is you learn why you say what you say. That's how you're going to start picking apart when it's you and when it's someone not you. When you get a thought or idea, especially note when you change tracks, if all of a sudden you're upset. We've talked a lot about learning your triggers, right? Well, along with learning your triggers, you're going to hear the specific thoughts that come about. Did that sound like you? Why did you say that? Where is that coming from? And where other times you'll be like, whoa, where did that come from? Then that's probably not you. And it can go both ways. You can have an idea that's so great, like you're thinking about cleaning the room and you just can't do it. And then all of a sudden you just get this like, move this to there. That was probably a positive being like, hey, I can see, because they're fifth dimensional and they can do all kinds of things we can't. So the good ideas can come from there too. Also calming down. If you'll feel things telling you to calm down sometimes if you're too upset. But things can go the opposite way. And usually we don't fuss too much about the positive thoughts because that's all great. We love positivity. So we don't really need to worry about the positive ones, but it is good to thank them. If you notice it was somebody else, I always give a thank you. I'm not sure who that was, but thank you. That's a good idea. Where when it's the opposite way, I'm like, not today, sir, not today. Because they'll tell you all kinds of freaky things. And then next thing you know, you're spiraling down the rabbit hole of, oh, why am I such a weirdo? Why did I think of that? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Guess what? It wasn't you. You could be like, ha ha ha, I saw you. Nope, I'm not taking responsibility for that thought. That was not me. Because as soon as you disassociate from the thought, it loses its power within you. So instead of building up an internal spiral from maybe somebody said something really negative about your family, like, oh, what a POS, like, oh God. And you're just like, but you didn't feel that way. You're like, oh. And then you think you secretly hate them. And then you build up this whole, because the ego and the shadow will of your own self will love to jump right on that because it likes negative drama and be like, oh yeah, remember what they did last year? They do suck. And the next thing you know, you're mad at somebody because something whispered to you something that's maybe their opinion, or a lot of them. What I like to think of, remember Harry Potter and Peeves? Peeves the ghost? There was the negative, Voldemort, and then there was the positive ghosts like Sir Nicholas with the half head, but then there is Peeves, and he's not actually evil, but he is a poo disturber. So there's things like that we'll put in the negative category, but that doesn't mean they're evil. They're just poo disturbers. So they're probably going, ha 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 ha. They're not like, ha 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 ha, because there is some things that are like that, but either way, it's a lot to dig into, it's a lot to unpack, but what we need to keep in mind is what was me and what was other things, especially if we're looking at expanding our consciousness, because the entire point of my school is to help you clear up the self so we can ascend. But the more you ascend, the more you're going to have access to more beings. But you don't get to choose only positive. You have to become strong enough to see what was positive, what was negative, and to disassociate with the negative, assuming you want to go up in a positive direction. Disassociate with the negative and it'll lose its power. It won't take up your time, take up your consciousness, take up you. You'll be able to continue ascending up with positive directions, positive beings. This is why when we pray, if you don't want to pray directly to Jesus or any positive entity that we know, you can pray to the higher self or pray to positive entities with my highest good in order, my highest good in mind, my highest good, because that helps filter out. But you also can learn to do that yourself when you receive thoughts throughout the day, because things are always there. It's not just like good night prayers and then things happen in the mystical world and has nothing to do with us. No. As we continue to ascend more and more as a whole species, we're going to get more and more aware of energies and all the subtle nuances of the universe and how everything is vibrations and alive, and how there's more than just us and our energy and our vibrations. There's things all around us. In Japan, they'll think that there is like spirits in everything, from a lid to a crystal to anything. This pencil has a soul, has a spirit, and the spirit of grandma could have gotten the pencil. Like, there's spirits in everything. But I think that could be very true, or it's the fact that there's spirits everywhere. Like, they're in and out inside of each other too. That's just how things work higher up. So that's normal. It's nothing to get too, just don't even, if it's some people that fusses them out. Don't get all, oh, what does this mean? Don't worry about that. What you need to worry about is your mind and what they're sending directly into you, and whether or not it's positive or negative, and whether or not they're trying to help you or hurt you. And if they're trying to help you, great. Thank them, take the idea and move on. If they're trying to hurt you, and specifically, so they'll insult people and make you think you said it. They'll send you like just incredible images that just make you feel like there's something wrong with you. They will get you really flustered. If you're already upset, they'll start being, oh yeah, you're a loser. Oh yeah, you just suck. Just give up. Go kill yourself now. They'll really amp up when you're stressed. Then that's 3 huge ones right there. And then anything else could fall under those 3 categories, because they are chaos mongers, and there's tons of different ones of them. Like, there's ones like Peeves that are just hee hee hee, and then there's ones that are Voldemort and pure evil. There's levels to them as well, because there's more them than us. So if you think we have a lot of different things going on with us, they have even more different things going on. But they can interact with us just like we interact with ants, like you can see down, you can't see up yet. We're working on it with that ascension. And the more we cleanse the self, open up space in ourself, then we can open ourselves up for universal knowledge, universal downloads, which I keep talking about. These are just some of the things you can receive in universal downloads. Like, this might sound like all woo-woo now, but then once you actually expand and open yourself up to it, you do begin to understand, and the pieces click together, and the puzzle's like, oh, I get it. Like, even when you're learning something in school as simple as spelling, you didn't get how phonics worked until all of a sudden, then it clicked, and you're like, oh my God, I get this. I get what vowels are. Long ones, short ones, I get it. This is the same thing. So sometimes it could seem like, oh, that's too much. I'm not gonna bother. No, it's not, and you'll get there. It starts with the self, and unlike this one, you don't actually have to read a book. You can, and that's great, but I found, because I've done both, I've done the intellectual way, which is fantastic, I do like it, but nothing actual spiritual, not much anyways, little fizzles. But if you don't take the time to do the practices, then no roots plant in your life. The roots plant by doing the work, like yoga, meditation, and meditation is a vast one, because there's tons of kinds. Like, the other day we talked about the perception conception meditation. You breathe in the perception and you breathe out the conception. It's the concept. And so you're just making your own mind bigger on very simple things, but then they got bigger and bigger. That's what our whole world is doing. Everything is getting more profound. Everything is getting more deep. We are becoming more alive as people. And that's why the people that refuse to wake up are going crazy, because they're getting the energy. It's knocking and banging at the door. They're just like, nope, I'm not answering. I'm too busy talking about politics and blah, 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 blah. There's just, ugh, I don't even like that side. Because there's so many wonderful things on the spiritual side, on the side to look up to our ascension, on our fourth, fifth dimensional living that we're reaching to right now. It's happening right now. So to bring in home the lesson of today, from now on, when you get a thought, especially if it really upsets you, give a pause and it's like a calm meditation on just like, was that me? I bet you it wasn't. And it'll help, and it'll get easier and easier and easier. Once you get that feeling, it's like the trickster backs off too. Like the whole thing loses its power once you're like, that wasn't me. It's like, oh, and runs away, and it's just gone. It's like, oh, you caught me, bye. Where if you don't recognize that and you give it roots in your own subconscious, your own ego, your own self, then now you've just caused yourself a trauma or an upset, or you've ruined your day. You know what I mean? Like, you have to take inventory of the self and start to weed out what's what. And it gets easier. It's like swimming. It gets easier, and you're just, next you're flowing through your day, and it just makes it lighter, and things will try to come up. You're like, nope. And onward you go, upwards and onwards. Okay, people, I believe you can do this. Stay vigilant. Goodbye for now, Spirit Mom.